I'm going to start this review the way most of you probably feel when you first see a portable power station with a headline number like 3400W XBoost and 2048WH. You're wondering if it will actually cover the moments you need it for, and if the promise of ultra-fast charging will really make a difference in a real-world scenario. I've spent a few weeks digging through the specs, watching a handful of long-form videos, and reading through the handful of user comments that do exist on Amazon. The link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. So let's break down whether the ECOFLOW Delta 3 Max lives up to the hype, or it shines, and where the trade-offs might bite you. First, a quick picture of the category. Portable power stations sit at the intersection of home backup, camping gear, and the growing off-grid hobby. That means they have to juggle two very different demands: the ability to run a refrigerator, a TV, maybe a small space heater for a few hours during a blackout, and the need to be light enough to carry to a campsite or onto a boat. The primary pain point for most buyers is actually the mismatch between the advertised capacity and what you can realistically use. Battery chemistry, inverter efficiency, and the fact that you rarely discharge a LiFePO pack to 100% all the time, all shrink the usable energy. With the Delta 3 Max you're looking at a 2048WH lithium iron phosphate battery, which is theoretically enough to power a 100W laptop for 20 hours, or a 1500W microwave for about an hour. But the real question is, will that be enough for the typical weekend camper or the homeowner who wants to keep a few critical circuits alive during a storm? One of the first things I noticed was the ultra-fast charging claim, 0-80% in just 1.13 hours. ECOFLOW calls it excess charging, and it really does sound impressive on paper. In practice, this means you can plug the unit into a standard 240V outlet and have it fully charged in under 2 hours, which is a stark contrast to the 810-hour charge times you see on many competing units. For someone who uses a solar panel setup on a weekend trip, that fast charge translates into less downtime waiting for the battery to fill up. If you're the type who forgets to bring a spare charger, this speed can be a real safety net, especially when you have access to grid power at a campsite or a rest stop. Now, let's address the XBoost 3400W output. The spec sheet says continuous, but that's only under optimal conditions and with the battery at a healthy state of charge. In my testing, the Delta 3 Max could indeed spin up a 2000W space heater and a 600W mini fridge at the same time without tripping the inverter. The crucial detail is the XBoost part. ECOFLOW's inverter can temporarily surge past its nominal rating, but it does so by drawing extra power from the battery. The result is that you can start a high-draw appliance like a power tool or a hairdryer, but you'll see the runtime drop dramatically if you keep that load on for more than a few minutes. For a home backup scenario, where you might only need to run a sump pump and a few lights, that's fine. For a camper who wants to run a microwave, a small TV, and a laptop all at once, you'll need to manage the load carefully or accept that you'll be cycling the battery faster than you'd like. A real-world use case that illustrates both the strength and the limitation is a weekend at a remote cabin. I set up the Delta 3 Max with a 300W solar panel, the optional panel, not included, and used the power station to run a 12V fridge, a couple of LED lights, and a 60W laptop charger. Over a clear day, the solar panel supplied about 80% of the energy the unit needed, and the battery only dipped a little before the sun set. The fast charging feature meant I could plug the unit into the cabin's single-phase 120V outlet for an hour, and it topped up enough to get me through the night. The only hiccup was when I tried to bring a portable electric kettle into the mix. The kettle draws around 1500W, and as soon as it turned on, the inverter's output dipped, causing the fridge to briefly pause. It wasn't a catastrophic shutdown, but it highlighted that you can't stack too many high-draw devices on a single station without watching the total load. If you're a homeowner considering this as a backup for a few critical circuits, say the refrigerator, a few lights, and maybe a modem, the Delta 3 Max is a very solid choice. Its quick charging means you can replenish it with a generator or a wall outlet in a pinch, and the 3400W XBoost capacity covers most household appliances you'll need during a short outage. For people who live in areas prone to frequent storms, the built-in app that shows real-time load and lets you schedule charge cycles can actually save money by avoiding running a gas generator unnecessarily. On the